So, you're thinking about transferring colleges. Well, it turns out there's some really good reasons to do that, and maybe some reasons aren't so great. What I have for you today are going to be 4.5, not 5, just 4.5 really good considerations you want to have prior to transferring colleges. So, let's go ahead and just jump right into that. Number one is cost. You might find that your college is costing more than you thought it would. Sometimes a number doesn't look so bad on paper, but once we actually start paying tuition and things like that, we can be amazed at how much the cost is actually getting to us. So if you find that maybe the expenses are a little bit more than what you expected, you may want to think about looking at a different college. Sometimes there's initial sticker shock that we sometimes get over, but other times sometimes it seems like it's worse as we go on, especially when you mount on the cost of supplies, books, and things like that as well. So if university, even if you like it, if it's just not being kind to your budget, you may want to think about transferring schools possibly to somewhere cheaper. Speaking of somewhere cheaper, you might also just find that even if you can afford where you're at, student debt's a very real thing, and you might decide that there's an equally good program elsewhere that's a lot easier on the old budget, and that it might be a better option for you in the long run. Number two, you might need a location change. This could be another good reason to switch schools if you just need a location change. Two of the bigger location changes I think people need are to get closer to home and to get further away from home. Sometimes people need to spread their wings a little bit and get further away from home to establish themselves, maybe get some independence. That's the boat personally that I was in, and I had a good relationship with my family and still do. I just found that I needed to establish myself a little bit, and I found that getting away, not too far away, but just away, living on my own a little bit was a really great way to do that. You might decide though that perhaps you're too far away from home, and we'll discuss homesickness as we go, and that homesickness is not necessarily a great reason to transfer. But if you have a location, maybe you're too far away and it's just seriously not working for you, then yeah, you may want to look at other options as far as universities go. Number three is if you've recently changed your major. And if you've changed your major or you want to major in something and you found that the university where you're at either does not have that major or maybe doesn't have all that great of a program, maybe it's not something they specialize in, or maybe in light of you changing your major, maybe there's another university elsewhere that has a better program, then heck yeah, that's a really great reason to look at changing colleges. Number four, it's not a social fit. And again, something I'm going to try to emphasize here as we go is that you need to give a university more than a week or a month. But if you've been somewhere for a while and it's just truly not a fit and it's just truly not your scene, then yeah, you may want to try something out. That's part of the reason also that I transferred halfway through my undergraduate career. So I've already given you four things. Now, before I give you the 0.5, I just want to point out that I am in my office today instead of my home office. I'm in my actual office at the undisclosed university at which I work. Now, obviously, if you know me personally, you'll know what it is. If you don't know me personally, I'm not going to say it on camera because, like I've said before, I like keeping total and complete control of this project, and I work for a great place, but I just don't want any of my videos to be viewed as unauthorized advertisements or anything like that. So 0.5, reason 4.5 to transfer schools would be grades. And the reason I didn't give this a whole point, and we're going to discuss it in this video's counterpart, bad reasons to transfer colleges. The reason I'm only giving it a 0.5 is you really want to think about grades carefully. You don't want to get into a habit of outrunning your problems, which I think some of us do, and the problem is if you get in the habit of simply outrunning your problems have a way of keeping up with you, catching up with you. If you don't actually tackle them and solve them, if you just try to escape them, they will always find you. All right, so in addition to that, if grades are an issue, I would just recommend things like tutoring, going to a professor for help, just doing things like that to try to make the best of where you're at. And perhaps if you're not doing well in a subject area, perhaps you're taking classes, or maybe you're working toward a major that's simply just not a good fit for you. Maybe it's not the university's fault. So just because you're getting poor grades doesn't necessarily mean you need to transfer. But then again, it could. You might find that, for instance, maybe your GPA is good enough to stay at the university, but sometimes specific programs will have a higher separate minimum GPA, and perhaps you've got a high enough GPA to not totally flunk out of school, but your GPA is nowhere near where you need it to be to gain admission into that program, and perhaps that changes everything for you. So there's your 0.5, 4.5. I I don't know if I can even hold up 4.5 fingers. There are 4.5 really good reasons to transfer schools. And like I said earlier on in the video, you really got to give something time. Don't show up at a college and after 2 weeks, I hate it here, and decide you want to go home. And you know, ultimately that might be the best thing, but you got to give something a little bit of time. I recommend a minimum of a semester, and I think a year is better. So, like I've been saying all along, I hope this information has been helpful for you. If it is, I ask that you would subscribe, share, and like this video. I just want to get this content in the hands of as many people as possible, hopefully people that need to hear it. So I just want to thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you soon.